Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans. They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Apple Gift Card is a practical gift that unlocks a world of entertainment and fun. You can send it via email or give a physical card to your loved ones. Your friends and family can spend it on their favorite Apple services, including Apple subscriptions. Apple Gift Card can be used to buy all things Apple. Products, accessories, apps, games, movies, TV shows, iCloud Plus, and more. Visit apple.com for details and to send Apple Gift Cards to your friends and family this holiday season.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and we're back. It's Christmas, it's the time of miracles, and the first time ever we are doing an Under Pressure solely about a League Cup match. Well, I didn't think it would ever happen, but it has. And here with me to talk about the fun fest that was Liverpool 5, West Ham 1. I've got our new regular, our most common new regular. He's Time Sports writer, Hamzah Khalik-Lunat. Evening, Hamzah.
Evening, everyone. Merry Christmas to all. You wouldn't expect this one, League Cup quarter-final pod, but here we are.
We said it. We said it on the Monday. He said if he picks a strong team, we've got to have to do a pod. And here we are. And we've got a treat for you, lovely listeners. He's back. Yes, he's back. Back again. Simon's back. Tell a friend. Yes, he's back. Yes, he's back. He's back. He's Mr. Simon Brundish.
Evening, boys. We have to, that needs to be clipped. Dan Kennett rapping.
I wouldn't even call it that. Simon Brundish goes round the outside.
Yeah. Going to break into the Barnes rap next.
Well, that's more, they're definitely more my era than that. But how are you, buddy?
It's weird. I don't know. You guys ever have like that annoying tune that's just in your head, that like some song, and it just stays in your head all day? Like mine, for the majority of my life, it's the Anfield rap. I'm no joke. It's my default like a noise in my head. It's the Anfield rap.
Oh wow, brilliant! It'll be Eminem tomorrow. After that,
yeah,
you'll be singing all day. Right? How you doing, buddy? We've missed you.
Yeah, good. You did a great job without me. I can't deny. I listened to. My brain's not been working properly, so I listened to half of 2 pods, I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what you said though, but I enjoyed it at the time.
But you're still not fully. You're still not fully back, but you're well enough to sit in front of a computer for now and again. Yeah.
Yeah. I sat in front of the computer most of the day today, which is the first time.
Wow. Anyway, so. Si, there's lots been going on. You're missing the busiest time of the season. There's games every 2 days, and and then we have the biggest league game in a couple of years on the weekend against Arsenal, and we had this League Cup game against West Ham 3 days before it, and we picked a pretty strong team.
Well, given that Virgil van Dijk was playing, That's pretty much says it all. You got Zobo who's only Mo's played more minutes in the Premier League than Zobo this season. And Van Dijk, like, the others, the rotational squad first teamers, Gakpo, Nunez, Diaz, they're much of a muchness, aren't they? Between Mo, Mo actually got a little bit of a rest, but it looked from the offset. So Kwanzaa is playing basically all the cup games. Harvey is playing all of the cup games. And Curtis seems to be...
And Kelleher.
Yeah, and Kelleher's obviously the cup goalie.
Yeah.
But weirdly... So you got Virgil, who's the standout centre back. He plays all games when he's available. Plays pretty much all of the big games, at least. And so he is at. Where is Virgil? Oh yeah, 89% of first team minutes this season. And that's that. Wow. In a Champions League season, that would probably be a bit higher, but I count Europa League and Premier League as first team. And, there's a lot of garbage time in Europa League this season, isn't there? But so he's started and finished 15 full games. Matip started and finished 9. And as centre backs, Gomez and Ibu and Kwanzaa have finished 6, 8, and 8. Like Kwanzaa's played the same number of games as pretty much the other 3 centre backs. I think nobody would have called that at the beginning of the season, and he's going to be called on a bit more. Played quite well as well. I think it's interesting with the midfield injuries we have at the moment that Zobo's playing and Endo, he seems to be drip fed, doesn't he? Midweek games at the moment. He's playing half.
Well, he's playing. This is Endo's 10th start in the last 14 matches.
Yeah,
crazy.
He's coming in.
Yeah, I mean that was
he and Mac have both played 6 full games each.
Okay,
crazy.
Wow.
In the league, they've both started and finished 6 full games.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was potentially a risky selection, given we played Man United we got 3 games in 6 days. How do you think we're managing this from a sports science and load perspective? You've got a theory?
I think we're treating all of the players equally, like they have no previous injury histories specific to individual players. And we are proactively rotating. We're strategically rotating to make sure players are top. Stuff we've talked about for years before. Which largely, obviously, I'm on board with. There is, it makes a ton of sense. It's just that it feels a little bit like they aren't factoring in other key metrics. So they're trying to keep sustainable loads for players. So like currently the chronic load, which is the 3-week average, all very nice. Ibu's is 108, which that is kind of optimal. You probably want it closer to 120. Virgil's is 100, but his career is 132. So you want it for first choice players like that. But whenever Ibu averages more than 60 minutes chronic load for 3 consecutive weeks, in his career he breaks. So
just like the Dejan Lovren stat week, he never started 8 games in a row without getting injured.
6. Lovren was 6.
Yeah, 6.
6 games. So I just feel like we have to look at that. He hasn't been injured, which is great, but we've got a whole bunch more games coming up. We're managing this up to Union, Man United, West Ham. But then we have quick turnaround for Arsenal. Quicker turnaround for Burnley.
Yeah, 3 days again, isn't it, to Burnley?
Yeah.
And then we finally got, was it 5 days to Newcastle?
5 days to Newcastle. So we have the 2 full days rest, which are the first one since the international break.
Crazy.
And because of the EFL thing, which we're so in love with, we have 2 more by the end of January.
Yeah.
Full days of rest.
In midweeks, yeah.
We have 2 full days of. I'm guessing that we're going to get through in the FA Cup, because if we're fucking about like this with the Caribou, we're gonna play strong teams in the FA Cup. And January's designed for it. To be fair, like there are no other games.
Yeah, there are 2 Premier League games, 3 Premier League games. After you play one on New Year's Day or the 2nd, and then there's 2 for the rest of the month, isn't there? Right?
Yeah, literally they're 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
So you got the 1st, 13th, and 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's given up to the Cups. But because we're adding midweek games in there, it just reduces that full rest.
Yeah.
Where players can, systematically, we understand that players are fully recovered in that period. The average player is fully recovered in that period.
Yeah.
But just while the last thing I'm going to go on about here is that the precedent is there as a career average, or even if we just go for the previous 3 seasons average, right? Because some of these lads, 22, 23, you can't use game time of 18, 19-year-olds when they were playing sporadically just because they were young, not because they were injured. But so far, Ibu is at 77% of his 3-year average, and we are a bit less than half the season.
Yeah.
So he's, sticking his finger in a socket. He always gets injured. He averages 2.5 injuries a season in his career.
Yeah.
And he averages 145 days missed.
Crazy.
It's very likely he's going to get injured again before the end of the season. And we don't have any more centre-backs. Zobo is also 73% of his 3-year average.
Yeah.
Can I scare everyone with a couple more?
Yeah.
Darwin and Diaz, 65 and 71.
Already. Jesus. Yeah.
Of their 3-year average. So best practice is to increase 30% season on season. And obviously that can't happen with injuries and stuff. You get forced in. But we are currently 45% through the season. Yeah. And again, 77% for Ibu. But here's me giving the shock numbers. Can you guess what Joe Gomez is at?
Of his career average?
Of his 3-year average. So this is... Or his career average, yeah. Career
I'm going to say 85.
93.
Wow.
We don't have lads that have proven robust, that have proven they could do 3,000 minutes, which is the minimum for a first-team player. When our big first-team players are doing 5.5 or 6.
Yeah. So on the next full pod we do, we're going to have to, after our, we're going to ask you to look at how many minutes we've got remaining in this season, and then what that means in terms of say we got potentially got 2,500 minutes left or whatever across all the competitions, and what that means for players in terms of see if we can spell out to people what we're going to be asking our players to do.
Yeah, makes sense.
In ways they haven't
Harvey is currently very high, but to be fair to him, but he's a kid. Like I said, you don't look at teenagers because they've not proven. He looks robust. He's only had 1 injury, and that was from contact. So
you still only look to increase him 30% on last season, though, wouldn't you? That's the rule, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 30% on the previous season.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool. It helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Wow. Now, Hamzah, on the pod, on Monday we spent a long time talking about balance and roles and complementary roles, and there were some really interesting things going on in this lineup, wasn't there?
Yeah. I'll ask Simon a question first, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll come back to the question I had was you mentioned that Liverpool are sort of a sort of risky strategy of building the loads up in midweek matches rather than in training. What's the risk of that? Is that you're not specifically in control of like high intensity sprints compared to training? As in, if the game just becomes a bit more open, they're maybe doing a bit more running than they would in training where you can control it. What's the risk there?
Yeah, that's one significant risk. The biggest one is less controlled variable. So in training, they're warm for a start, they're covered up, so their muscles are at a raised temperature, which is a lower chance of getting soft tissue injuries, which is what Ibu is prone to. They're way less likely to get clubbed by an opponent in training, which is significant. Ibu's been out twice in the last 2 seasons from not even big tackles, just from a little bit of contact.
It was the one against Brentford where he stretched and did his hamstring, didn't he?
Yeah, there's one. But when the last pre-season game last season, and he just got a bit of a dead leg, it looked like, and he was out for 115 days.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so that's another thing. A couple really of other things is that you either believe in the process of warm-ups, structured warm-ups, right? Why would they come out at 7:25 for an 8 o'clock kickoff and gradually ramp up and do these specific warm-up things for 35 minutes if that wasn't optimal? You don't see a sub do that. Subs don't do that. Subs just come on, and they might be coming on at 60, but if you're in the ground, you'll see them do a 7-minute, absolutely at the most 7-minute warm-up. It's usually closer to 3. So the warm-ups work or not. If they work, that's why everybody in the world uses them. Then you are leaving yourself susceptible to soft tissue injury by bringing those guys on as subs. So I fundamentally believe that Ibu should only start games, or come on at halftime. That's the medium ground in there. Yeah. So I don't know what I just feel like we're taking big risks with a couple of our players. That the probability is that Ibu remaining fit for the rest of the season. The mathematical probability is 2.6%, given his previous history.
The good news is, though, Si, is that it could be, say, like the back half of 21-22 season where Naby Keita was basically, rotating with Thiago, wasn't he, for pretty much the whole of the second half of the season?
Yeah,
and they pretty much alternated in the same position and both stayed fit.
But Naby was broken for us, but he had played a 5,000-minute season before.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do need a little bit of luck, and I think we need 2.6%. We need a lot of luck, and do we all agree that that's really essential? And given how many minutes that Gomez is being used as a fullback, which is more intense than a centre back, the likelihood of him remaining fit for the rest of the season is 6.4%.
Yeah, it does look like now would be the opportunity to, with Joel being out for the whole season, to, if you've got summer targets at centre back or full back, then to look to see if we can bring those forward and get them in January, doesn't it?
Makes sense. Or maybe it's Kwanzaa.
Yeah, but like you said, covering fullback minutes as well. So
yeah. Sorry, does that answer your question, Hamzah?
It did, yeah. Sorry for putting us on a small tangent, but exactly that. I just wanted to know what the difference was in practice. But yeah, to come back to Darth's question, more conventional 4-3-3 style, with a clearly defined sort of 2 at the back, 1 defensive midfielder, and then conventional sort of fullbacks. I mean, if you look at the average position on who scored and stuff, Gomez is sort of tucked in, and Jones is also sort of tucked in, but you clearly see a sort of well-defined sort of three at the back, as in two centre backs, and then Endo, and then you've got on the wings in terms of roles here. So you've got, like I said just previously, Jones was tucking in, and Jones also was getting into the box as well, doing all-round stuff as he does. But Nunez was on the left wing, Elliott was on the right wing, and then later on in the match, Diaz came into the centre. So a few different things here that we may not have necessarily expected.
I think we talked about three positions in particular, didn't we, on the last pod? We talked about Gravenberch in the left 8, Diaz left wing, and Nunez centre forward. And all of those three positions changed in this match, and roles changed. So we had the Jones for Gravenberch, obviously, which has been a theme of the season, and we'll come on to Curtis in a lot more detail. But Darwin going over to the left instead of Diaz, because we talked on the pod, didn't we, at the end that Bart's was saying maybe give Cody a go in the left and then with Darwin in the centre. But this time it was actually pushing Nunez out there. I mean, how did you think it went compared to the previous, the 4 matches or so?
I think it's, again, if you just go on the who scored breakdown, like you can have a look at the sides that teams attack down, and 40% of Liverpool's attacks again on the left.
Yeah,
and it as in we mentioned previously, Diaz's shot production is down, so you lose that sort of threat from the left. But obviously Nunez is, if he's anything, if he's one thing, it is a shot monster. So having that volume of shots from the left just gives a bit more verticality and forward thrust to that left side. So that helped balance that out a bit more. There's one thing that was mentioned to me yesterday by Harry, and I haven't had a chance to look into this yet, but if anyone has any thoughts on the Discord, please drop them in, or if you guys have any thoughts. It was about how sort of how to think about Diaz on the left, but as in, we often think on the right side, Trent and Salah come as a 2, as in they understand their movements and how they play with one another. And for not last season, but the half season before, Diaz on the left was playing with Robertson all the time. So that relationship was allowed to build. This season, because Robertson's been injured and a few other things happened with Diaz, that relationship hasn't been there, and Diaz has been in and out of the team, and instead he's had Tsimikas. So if you guys have any thoughts on if you guys think it affects how Diaz plays or interacts, just because Tsimikas plays the left side just a bit differently to Robbo, that'd be interesting. But that's just an aside, and if anyone on Discord has any thoughts about that, I'd welcome them. Because, like I said, we often give a lot of attention to how Salah and Trent interact, and rightfully so. Yeah. But it might be interesting to think about who interacts with Diaz, because we do think about how Grav interacts with Diaz too, and that's just not as sort of productive as perhaps when Jones will play on the left side.
Yeah, and Si, I mean, you haven't had a chance to come on and talk about. We've been pretty stodgy in the league in the last 4 games. How have you seen us in terms of our fluency and all that degrading? And what have you pinpointed as the biggest problems in your eyes?
I feel like we've been too narrow and too dominated by Trent. First thought is give Trent the ball. Trent constantly wants to come inside. There were moments where he kind of remained, but it looks like it's reluctant to go and stand on the wing. And what you're doing is you're conceding 20 or 30 meters of the width of the pitch to the opposition to make it easier to defend. And when you're playing against teams like Man United, let's just take it into this game. We had how many? 17 shots from outside the box.
It's 29 in the last 2 matches.
But it looked more threatening and we end up scoring because we were shooting. We only had 4 defenders in the way. Against United, we were shooting deeper than the midfield. Yeah. So they had midfielders in the way and centre-backs and defenders, and they were all within the width of the 6-yard box. So it has to be pinball to get through all of those. It's just going to get blocked. That's why we got 24 block shots. Yeah. And in this game, we had shots from outside the box, but because West Ham set up the way they set up and tried to attack us, their midfield were already bypassed. So you only had to either shift it and get like 6 inches of space either side of a centre back, but you only had one layer of depth to beat. If you get it past the defender, it was going towards the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But systematically, I feel like we have been interchange in relation to this game, because I don't know how much stock we can put into one game against West Ham's reserves, but we had much greater structure in this game, and we've been thinking we're Ajax in 1993 for the last a couple of months, really, where we're so fluid. Players are so interacting and taking one another's positions that the timing of which needs to be perfect, but not only the timing, the intensity of the movement needs to be perfect. I think you saw with Curtis's second goal. You see, no, with the Curtis's first goal in this game, a really good example of that. That 2 meter burst deep freed him up. Darwin did a similar thing, and then he had a 30-yard sprint as soon as he made a pass. And that's the intensity. It's the intensity. I talk about it. What's next? You make a pass. What's next? It's the thing you choose to do and act upon after you've received a pass. It's the intensity of that, the speed of that determines the tempo of the game. And we've been really slow and looking for Trent. Trent's having 1 or 2, 3 or 4 touches. He's been carrying the ball towards 10-man deep. It's not. I'm not blaming Trent. It's literally how the systems work, because everybody is taking each other's space. If you aren't fast in what you're doing next, what happens is you end up getting bogged down in the middle, and it feels like that's what's been happening. And we're not doing it quick enough to create instability in the opposition, which we did in this game, which breaks the lines. So the opposition gets set. They can slowly wander back and get set. And we also have stopped making switches. And it's the intensity of what's next alongside switches that can disrupt a structured deep line formation. If you actually utilize the whole width of the pitch, they have to move over. And at some point, the thing I'm talking about with the timing of our runs within our formation, if you keep making the opposition switch, at some point, one of their 7 players is going to be slightly delayed, which creates the gap.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And Bart's has been very frustrated, particularly with Gravenberch and Diaz, and almost that ending up on top of each other, but not at the same time without interacting with each other. They're almost like 2 solo artists, and who are trying to do the same thing, but neither of them end up succeeding. It's like, and this game, we pushed Nunes onto the left, and to be fair, he held the width on the left a lot more than Diaz has been doing in recent games. Yeah,
it's a characteristic that he has, as in he likes to dribble in from the left, and he's well positioned. So I just saw a good graphic on Twitter, which I'll drop into the Discord. He's quite good at carrying the ball from those areas, so receiving on his right foot and then breaking forward from them. And that what it does, it helps just in terms of if I think we discussed this the other day, but if you start from a wide position and break inwards, it's harder for an opponent to track you than it is if you start from an inside position, because you're already in sort of a cramped area. And plus, if you, let's say you start your run sort of in the middle third, but sort of in line with the edge of the penalty area, so obviously on the left side, right? If you're heading inward from there, it's quite cramped. You're already going to have 2 centre-backs there. There's not really much space between them. If you're starting that run just 10 yards to the left of there, suddenly the opponents have to spread out just a bit more. Well, they'd like to. And then you can isolate a fullback, taking both ways. And if you're running inside, the idea is that you're not necessarily going to be running straight into a fullback and the centre-back next to them. It might be a fullback and a bit of space and then the centre-back, which is just a bit more useful. And when you pair that with a striker who's also positioning themselves sometimes pinning the centre backs, then you're asking more difficult questions of the defenders. Let's say I'm standing between two centre backs, and Nunez is out wide on the left, and I'm the striker. Suddenly, the two centre backs are thinking, okay, there's a guy who's quite quick and he's running towards us from the left. This is a direct run towards a box. How do we react? And the fullback will think, okay, I'll close him down. But the right centre back, who I'm stood between him and the left centre back, he's going to think, if the fullback closes him down, there's going to be space between me and the fullback now. But if I step out, this striker that's positioned between himself and the other centre back is going to be behind me, so I can't see him, which makes it a bit more difficult to follow. On that side, it helps to have a player that's very quick, who's very direct, whose first action is not necessarily inside, but sort of diagonally forward as well. Nunez does that quite well.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Can I say an extra layer of what Nunez does well?
Yes.
So he obviously hasn't been scoring since
10 games.
But he hasn't been scoring since they came back from the international break, and oh my God, there couldn't have been more celebration of Diaz and Darwin, could there? Like, nope. They were the greatest things on earth. Look, Darwin's coming out party, scoring against Argentina and Brazil.
Diaz scored 2 goals against in Sao Paulo, wherever it was.
Yeah. So is that the momentum thing you talk about? But it's that confidence. He's lacking in confidence when he isn't scoring, but he wasn't lacking in confidence then, was he? When he came back, and he was absolutely buzzing when he's gone on an 8-game not scoring streak. He's got 1 assist in that period. But the thing he does have in 549 minutes since coming back from the international break is 19 offsides.
Yeah. Yes. Even in this game where there were some nice things from him.
The league lead is 15.
Yeah. He still gets offside 3 times. God, it's doing.
I think Diaz was caught offside quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
So I think last time I checked, we had both of them in the top 15 in the league. I'm just going to pull it up now to double check, which doesn't help just in terms of sort of attacks stagnating and producing turnover. I'm just...
They've had 5 in one game, yeah.
Miscellaneous. I've got it up now. Sorry, I'll just be a second. Here we go. Nunez is second with 14 in the league, and then Diaz is... Oh, there he is. He's 5th with 10. So yeah, It's not ideal to have that many in the top 5.
Nearly all Diaz has been. Only 2 of them were before this last international break, and he also has played considerably fewer minutes than the guy on top.
So, more fun news, more nice things. Harvey Elliott, in the Mo Salah impression role, I thought he did a pretty serviceable job of it. What did you think?
He, as Klopp said, he interpreted the position differently.
Yeah. Well, nobody can be Mo Salah. No one. Literally no one.
And he wasn't. There was only one moment where he tried to run in behind, and Mo Salah was on at that point. He was playing midfield, but what he did do, he was receiving all positions. I don't know if you guys noticed, the ball was bouncing really high. There were loads of times in the game, maybe 20 times in the game, where we were controlling the ball brilliantly from a ball that bounced, and it had bounced like 2 or 3 feet in the air. So, like the worst kind of position to control the ball from, and I thought we were brilliant at that.
So is this the opposite of the Bill Belichick deflate gate?
Yeah, maybe.
Is this inflate gate against West Ham?
Maybe the pitch was too dry because it was so windy.
It was very windy. Yeah.
I
can confirm it was very windy last night.
Yeah. Maybe along those lines. I don't know, but
my Christmas decorations blew down off the house. All the external ones got absolutely battered. That's how windy it was last night.
Our front door number came off. I screwed onto the door. I have no idea how special. Crazy. Anyway,
but the point was going to be, my point was going to ask you was, first half of last season, we got absolutely sick to death of talking about Elliott and the Elliott role and Trent inverting and all that, and then the team being absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
but he did this. He played in a very, very similar area of the pitch, right? One huge difference: he had Dominic Szoboszlai just behind him,
running past him.
Yeah, and overlapping. Yeah, and all those things.
Yeah, I actually don't think he played it in the way that he played it last season. I think he was much more comfortable. He was basically an outside in 10, and he just came to get the ball and set the tempo for the team. And he doesn't turn the ball over. And he's always trying to play a threatening pass, which you've got to celebrate. And in this game, he wasn't overrun by anybody physical, which is his biggest weakness. So in compared to last season, where I thought we've talked about it before, that CJ had been told to corral his natural attacking, dribbling instincts and keep hold of the ball. That was the most important thing for him was positioning and preventing transitions. So by giving the ball away or making sure that he was physically preventing the opposition transition. I think that last season Harvey was busy working as a function of the structure of the team. So his role was to stay wide, to allow Mo to come inside. I don't think that's the case, particularly in this game. He was just going wherever he liked and really influencing the game.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of trust from the other players. They were giving him the ball when he was being marked.
Yeah. I mean, the ironic thing is that in the WM, which we didn't play last night, the most creative players on the pitch have always been the inside left and the inside right. And where Harvey played last night was very much an inside right position, but he played it in a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Nominally on the right of the front three, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
allowing Zoblo to run past him.
I didn't think we saw any of his weaknesses, but it allowed him to play to his strengths as well, because he had a platform behind him as well.
His possession control is generally in the 0 to -5. For an attacking midfielder, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Should we talk about another attacking midfielder who's got phenomenal possession control?
Dominic
Szoboszlai, we could talk about him, but I was going to talk about Curtis Jones. And one of the things that Bart has been pulling his hair about, he's got a little bit more hair than you. That's fair to say, Bart. But he's been about Grab doesn't connect with anybody statistically. There's no EPV or XT, any lines linking Grav with anybody on any of his past maps the last 4 games. And in this match, Curtis Jones has links with literally everybody. He's got links to 7 other outfield players, which is phenomenal for that position. All of the front 3, plus Szoboszlai, plus Endo, plus Van Dijk. Incredible.
Facilitator. And then he gradually turned into a dominator in the game, didn't he?
It's rare that you see... when you're trying to look at stuff, a single player who links with literally everybody else on the pitch and in a creative way, which is like the complete opposite of Graf, what we've seen from Graf.
Yeah, to be fair to Graf, I think he's another street baller. But he also, if you look at when he came in the second international break, I think we've had 6 full training days.
Right.
For him to learn the system, that's really, really hard. He doesn't have a preseason where everyone stood around in the warmth, talking about what position they should be in and at which moment they switch and what happens when the ball's here. And if there's a turnover here, what happens? So they must simplify the instructions to him to reduce the cognitive stress, but also they're probably going to pick 3 of maybe 40 different instructions the other players are perfectly aware of now, that he has to focus on, that will give him the opportunity to be himself, but won't risk the team. And CJ has been born into this.
Gradually, yeah. Oh, it took him a while to get into it, didn't he? Like you said, he had to rein in all his natural instincts.
Yeah.
And convert himself effectively.
But he's listened to all the team meetings. He's been through hundreds of days of training. That's the big difference. So if you have the capacity to learn, which naturally he's not like an academic kid.
I don't think anybody's disputing any of that, Si. The question is that Jones played the first game back against Man City after the international break, the biggest game of the season. And then he's lost his place in the team, in the league.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And we agree with all of that. But
I wonder if it came about as part of the rotation. And they just strategically, I don't know, he missed. Because the problem was that I think they were trying to modify his chronic load, that build it up slowly because he'd coming back from so he'd been out for 2.5 weeks before the international break. So he'd missed 3 full weeks of training, and then he started play 55. Then he came on as a sub and played 40. So you got 94 there for the week. And then they tried to gradually improve that, but modify it. And they ended up probably through game state missing one, if that makes sense. So he didn't come on at all against Fulham, but then he only came on for 30 something against Brentford and Palace. And that was the time where his chronic load should have been increased and it wasn't.
The holidays start here at Kroger with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Kroger has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, but you've been championing CJ for ever since he broke into the team. But I thought last night was one of his very best performances in a red shirt.
He didn't look like a kid anymore, did he?
No.
Everybody knows my opinion on CJ here. Well, what does Hamzah think? Because, you're objective, you get to write up for the international teams.
He followed the under-21s. He was the under-21 feature writer, wasn't he, in the summer? So, very big fan of Curtis, aren't you?
Curtis is arguably he played the tournament there I think it's between him and I think Anthony Gordon got it in the end, but it was between him, Gordon, and Jacob Ramsey. Cole was excellent as well, but those three just showed a sort of level of performance that was sort of head and shoulders above the rest. Cole was also excellent, but for at least the group stages, he wasn't really challenged at all because England were just better than most of their opponents. The only match where England had to knuckle down was the final and the quarterfinal against Portugal. But in that, and I think I may have mentioned this previously, what he and Ramsey showed was an ability to understand when to accelerate play and when not to. And for that team in particular, when you're surrounded by a bunch of young kids in an international tournament, a lot of them, their first thought is forward, 100% speed, trying to sort of use their physicality because a lot of these players are Premier League players, unlike the other internationals, and to make sure that they can demonstrate their skill with the ball, their ability to run past players, their ability to get shots off. But what separates a sort of a keen young player from an excellent one is one that sort of plays at a different speed or understands when to play at different speeds. So Jones was particularly adept in that tournament about dropping into space, playing as a 6, then moving over to the left side, combining with Angel Gomez, who also is playing as a 6, but he developed as an attacking midfielder in the Manchester United Academy and then went to Lille. But he's quite small. So he had to take up some of those more physical responsibilities in that team as well. So he was receiving, playing through. And then on the left side, he had this great sense of when he would move the ball from left to right, left to right, left to right. And then as the space opened up, he was the one, either him or Ramsey, that is actually, that would suddenly switch the play on. And then they break forward and they'd sense when the attack was and they go. And there's a really cool bit of analysis. It's quite sort of early stage analysis, this. James Moyne from StatsBomb. As it so happened, I was talking to Kev Lawson at the StatsBomb conference and I was asking about sort of the speed at which, does anyone measure like sort of literal ball speed on the pitch, as in like, is there any upside to someone that passes fast? And he said no, but what you could do is you could take the event data and you could get the sort of receipt time of a pass and then the time at which it's released and then work out which players are quick. And as it so happened, that was a few months ago, and James Moyne did something similar, and he sort of attached a 1 second sort of definition for a sort of fast sort of release. And there's a few players that feature quite well, from Liverpool at least, Elliott, Jones, Endo, Grab. And the cool thing, and then he added an additional sort of layer to this, and he said, okay, we've established which players are sort of quick at getting the ball and spreading it, but which players are able to do this and also find their sort of teammates in space? And this is where Curtis features really, really well. So of the percentage of quick passes defined as a second that are received by a teammate in space, and that is 5 meters or more, Curtis is beaten only by Rodri. These are players with 400 Premier League minutes this season or more. So Rodri, Jorginho, just about Edson Alvarez, Baleba and Rothwell. Most of those are deep. Curtis plays a bit higher than all of them. And another thing to remember here, a player that's going to be in 5 meters of space typically is not going to be, it's an opportunity thing, right? So your teammates need to be in space for you to find them in space. But Jones features quite well for that. So as we've just sort of like gone through, he has a sense of when to accelerate play, an ability to actually move the ball quickly, and an ability to find teammates in space. So these 3 elements make him a really useful player. And then you combine that with the pass percentage, which is really high, and you understand why he's so valuable to a team like Liverpool, and to I imagine to quite a few teams.
I think you've just done a very nice annotation of that visual from Bart's, which I put into the Under Pressure group. Exactly what, that all those things you praised about Curtis, and I think it, especially when you said at the start that everybody around him is fast, and he knows when to slow it down. And I think that's the kind of thing we've been discussing in recent pods, isn't it? There's the balance. You can't have the 3 players like Nunez, Diaz and Gravenberch all just bombing on, doing their own thing. There has to be that balance of somebody who knows how to control things more, right? There has to be.
Yeah. And there's a quote from Klopp as well about the second goal. I think I've got it up here. Our second goal was exactly what Curtis can do. He has the speed, but doesn't use it often enough. We tell him quite frequently. Today he did it, and hopefully that's an eye opener for him, as in the ability to sort of accelerate with the ball.
Yeah.
And speeding it up. One interesting thing as well, and this is more sort of a less localized to Curtis, but the whole team. So on the Opta Analyst website, they have this nice matrix. I think, again, we discussed this before. It's the passes per sequence on the x-axis and then the direct speed on the y-axis.
Yeah.
So a team that is sort of indirect, they play a lot of passes to sort of build up and get towards a goal, sort of features on the bottom right. And that's someone like Manchester City, Arsenal, Brighton, a team that's really direct and sort of moves the ball up the pitch very quickly without very many passes per sequence. Like Everton is on the top left. But Liverpool are really peculiar, right? So they operate in a top right quadrant, and like no one else plays like this. Liverpool's average sort of passes per sequence is around 4.23, and their direct speed is just above 1.9 meters per second. So just to give that some context, right? So the only teams that have a high number of passes per sequence are Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, and City, and the only teams that play in a more fast and direct manner are Everton, Forest, and West Ham. And then if you look across Europe's top leagues, there aren't really any teams that sort of play like this.
Yeah.
Leipzig and Stuttgart are probably the most similar, and that's about it. It's a really sort of unique way of playing, because Liverpool have been a possession team past 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. But this season, they're a possession team, but also super quick at progressing it upfield, which in some ways means that you want to see more of Curtis accelerating, and in other ways, you do also definitely want to see him slow the game down as well. But the Klopp quote makes it seem like he wants to.
I think it's more, that side, bring you back in. I think it's more that you always talked about this. It's the Ginny role, but with output.
Yeah. But I would like to touch on a couple of those points Hamzah said. Like, I love the deeper advanced stats, but problem is I've seen the Opta 360 on the speed direction stuff that you were talking about first. Look at those deep line playmakers, those like Rodri or Edison Alvarez or whatever. Right, passing to somebody in 5 meters. So what happens is Virgil passes 3 meters into somebody dropping deep, let's say Endo, and Endo just rebounds a pass to Matip, who is in 5 meters of space, 12 meters away. Like that, it fools those numbers, so it misleads you a little bit. So they need an extra layer of it needs to be in the final third and needs to be going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't actually tell the story they think they're telling. That's why there are so many sixes in that. So what CJ isn't passing to a centre back. So he is doing the thing that you hope to be telling the story of, but the other sixes are stat padding by passing straight back to a centre back. Harvey's similar in that Harvey rebounds passes directly back to whoever just give it to him. He does it all the time. He's really good at it, and that's how he retains possession. When he comes as a sub, he helps us to control games that way, just by moving the ball 3 feet. And as long as the person playing into him has done the next thing really quickly and just moved to the side 2 meters in that time, and he gets it back just ahead of him so he can actually move the ball, he's created space, and he's done all this good stuff, but it's not a thorough through pass. What was the second thing we were talking about? Jesus Christ.
Time is against us this evening, right. But I just do want to
talk about the great goal.
Always talk about possession control. Well, yeah, I just want to talk about possession control first. I don't know if you listened to the last pod where you talked about Curtis's pass completion in the Premier League, and there's only, I think he was 6 in all midfielders, and all the ones ahead of him were DMs, basically, like Rodri. And Baleba. But he beat his season average in this match. 93% he was in this match, playing as an attacking 8. 56 out of 60 passes, 2 chances created, 7 shots, 5 on target, 0.67 XG, and 1.6 post shot. Just an absolutely outstanding stats line.
He also had possession control of
in any
positive
match.
3. While scoring 2
playing
goals.
as an attacking. Yeah, unbelievable.
So he won
this wasn't just one of his.
He lost it.
This wasn't just one of his best performances in a Liverpool shirt. It's one of the best performances in a Liverpool shirt by any player. It's just a staggeringly good performance, statistically. Yeah. Do you want to talk about his goal?
Quickly, the 3. Well, if we just rumble through the. Let me get it up. I'm on the wrong. Just on the wrong sheet. That's all. Welcome, Hamzah, to my 430 sheets.
I have the same.
Come on. There we go. First goal was the brilliance of Zobo. Like, knuckleball, man. That's a knuckleball. Yeah. That's so hard to do. He's utterly brilliant, that guy. We need to get him more opportunities.
That was the 23rd shot. Continuing the discussion of outside the box shooting against Man United, that was the 23rd shot in 120 minutes.
It was the 27th shot between goals.
Yeah, we talk about that long-term average of converting shots from outside the box is 4.8%. So yeah, there you go. We were bang on it. But then we did break it.
Do you remember the shitty Nat Phillips season?
Yes.
When we had 58 shots between goals.
Yeah.
That was killer. But this is that. So you guys would be happy with the press of Kwanzaa that won the ball back on the halfway line and really quick progressive pass into Zobo, and he just turned and knuckled it, which was brilliant. Second goal, Endo won it, played in CJ, and when he received the ball, this is what Klopp was turning about. When he received the ball with his back to goal, because he just dropped 2 meters, there were 9 players between the ball and the goal. And he feed the ball around the corner to Darwin, who smartly dropped from his offside position. And what you're talking about, like what we typically associate Darwin with speed, with playing too fast. He actually, I think he has a propensity sometimes to hold the ball too long while he's making a decision. And in this case, it worked beautifully. He held the ball long enough that CJ could turn, sprint 30 meters, and then get fed back in with a lovely pass inside the fullback. And then he stuck it through his legs. Do you want me to go through all goals?
No, just Hamzah, have you got a favourite one from the goal of the match last night?
The Curtis one is the best, but what I do like about the fourth one is if you watch it back, or you may notice it live, as the ball goes to...
Is that Salah?
Yeah. And it's West Ham's number. So what happens is Salah initially sort of jumps in to sort of press, and then he realizes that there's an opportunity to cheat on the press and run in behind, and he does that for the first tackle. So it's not the second tackle is the one that Trent makes and sort of and then kicks it forward, but he's already cheating because I think he notices who's West Ham's number 15. Let me just check. Mavropanos. So Mavropanos has ran forward. And Mavropanos is their centre-back. So Salah's just noticed immediately that there's space to go into. And
he's in at half as well.
Yeah. So he's zoomed straight ahead and into Liverpool's half, and Salah's gone, there's space here, and he's ready to sort of cheat on that first press and runs in behind. And Mavropanos sort of escapes the first tackle, but then Kwanzaa sort of marks Paqueta, and then Trent plays it. And because of that, Salah's already like well ahead. So I just quite like that how he noticed in the first phase of that move to go and cheat on the press and sort of sense that the moment to go forward. And then second Curtis goal is really nice as well. It's just a shame. Yeah,
that's a really good example of a progressive carry.
Oh, actually,
it's very, very long progressive carry.
Progressive carry. Well, look, Konate had a progressive carry, didn't he, for the Gakpo goal?
Gakpo goal.
So I think in the Manchester United match as well, according to the Mark R stats package, I think Konate was the team's top carrier.
Right.
Which, as in,
they were just giving him the ball.
But but as in,
likes with it.
like, yeah, there's not too much in it because the Manchester United was sat back, so you'd expect him to be able to carry the ball upfield against a press that doesn't exist, right? But the important thing is, if teams are going to give him the ball, then he needs to do more of this, the sort of Matip-style dribble. He gets a bit lucky because I think there's a interception that spills his way.
Yeah.
But as in, that's what you're going to hope that he does.
If he can build up a body of work so that teams won't want to give him the ball so readily, that's a really good thing because it'll make us become more balanced straight away. Yeah, if he can actually become, if he can start learning that Matip role and becoming a genuine threat, carrying it forward more often.
Yeah.
All the goals quite nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Four goals were within 3 passes of winning the ball back. So that was the other thing I was going to talk about from what you said about the speed of our play is that our numbers are grossly inflated with that because of that. That's what we like to do: win the ball back and score.
Counter press, yeah.
Yeah, it's the counter pressing that is our fast play. Our problem is not systematic. It's not how we can win all of the league. The problem is when teams don't want the ball in the first place with us.
Yeah, that Man United will be.
And we have no opportunity to get to gegenpress then. And then we've got to figure out how to play slow.
Final question, Si. Last night was the throwback to the classic Klopp 4-3-3. No real attempt to invert. Gomez from fullback held the width high, played a very good game. What do you think this means for the system? Do you think we'll still see Trent inverting most of the time, and do you think it'll just be maybe we can mix it up a bit more in terms of the 4-3-3 and the WM? What do you think?
I'm not sure what we've seen from a rotation perspective with Trent and Gomez makes an awful lot of sense for us to be able to predict. I would love a system in which we promoted Zobo to be our
leaving personnel aside.
This is not leaving personnel aside. I think that's key to this formation system. So if Trent's not there, you don't have to worry about the whole fucking inverting stuff. Zobo gets more of the ball higher up the pitch.
But until this game, we had been trying to do it when Trent wasn't there.
Inverting a little bit. Yeah, which is just stupid. So this is a game of space. Hamzah talks about it a lot. With the structure, you've got somebody in every zone. And we don't, with all of the fluidity we have, we end up leaving 4 zones of the pitch unmanned. And the 4-3-3 that we played with last night, a dropping 10, a dropping 9 and outside in left wing. I think what we did was the inverse of what we used to do with Mane coming from dropping deeper and Mo staying high. Last night we had Harvey dropping deeper and Darwin staying high. So the opposite side of the pitch.
But again, a much better blend across the roles of the front three and the way they did it.
Yeah,
the previous matches.
But also it's so much easier when the opposition have 3 players. They've got an inside-out 8 and they've got a fullback. And they've got the wide player. So you've got ostensibly 2 players to mark 3 unless the midfielders are going with them. And if the midfielders are going with them, 1, you're causing stress and fatigue physiologically. So at some point they're gonna make a mistake. But 2, you're also dictating where there is space elsewhere on the pitch. And because we are refusing to use those 4 zones on the widest parts of the pitch, that it's so much easier to direct traffic if you're in the middle of the pitch and block up our lanes.
Yep.
So it was interesting that we
got less defending.
Last night we got the conclusions we did with using the whole of the pitch.
Amen. Well, let's hope we see more of that over Christmas. But I do want to say thank you, Si, for returning. I hope you enjoyed it.
Fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It was fun. It was a fun game, and a massive thanks, Hamzah, coming on twice in a week. Huge. Yeah, we know you. That I think it's fair to say you're the new most popular member of the team. You seem to have a lot of fans already, which is great. Not jealous, honest.
A bit high. I just need to make sure I don't spike it by more than 30%.
Right. But Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas, everybody listening. And we will be back for a monster pod on the 27th to look at the Arsenal and Burnley games. Until then, up the fucking Reds. Merry Christmas.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.